Good day, everyone. It is the week of August 17th. We're heading into those last days of the summer. I can't handle it when we're looking at the end of summer, but like all things, summer must come to an end. It'll be back next year. Hopefully a good summer. Maybe not quite as hot, but I like it hot. So it's a bit of an issue for me. I'm moving ahead with our learning about the SPARK method. We've talked about starting with intention, putting that time away, really thinking about in advance what you're going to do, and then moving on to the P, prepare that information in advance. Make sure that you've got all your little bits and pieces ready to go, different messages, different information, so that you can pull it out at the right time in the right conversation. Today, we are moving into the A in SPARK, align your message. So now that you've prepared in advance and you have that quiver with all the different arrows, how do you prepare in advance to have those messages ready? A lot of that is research. Who are you going to be meeting with? What are you going to be talking about? Is this an area where maybe you're just in a group of people and something may slip in? Someone said to me a couple weeks ago, tell me what you really do. Now, I am all about not having a script in front of me, and I don't like to listen to other people just reciting that paragraph that they use anywhere and every time that they are talking about themselves. I want it to be conversational. I want it to be aligned with the conversation. So if I'm sitting at dinner and someone asks me, I'm going to answer that very differently with the same content than if I am standing up and introducing my company. I use a little software called Text Expander. There's no benefit to me to talk about it, except that I really like it because I have a lot of my messages and a lot of my ideas stored there in little snippets so that I can pull them up on a Zoom or on an email so that I have it all ready and I'm aligning my message with who I'm speaking to. If I'm at a networking event and I'm part of going around that circle and talking about my company, it will be a much more polished introduction, still conversational, but I will get across my message to that group. So if that's a group that, for example, could help me book places to speak in public, my message is going to be different than if it's a group who I think is really going to listen to my podcast, and that's what I'm going to feature. That's what when I talk about the arrows in the quiver, that's what I mean. So today I might be talking about my podcast. Yesterday, someone emailed me about doing some polishing up on their PowerPoint and presentation. Actually, I added in the verbal presentation because too many times I see people giving presentations who are not aligning their message with the audience. Maybe it's for funding and maybe it's for the industry. It's two totally different presentations. You need to know where you're going to be speaking or what you're going to be talking about to make it successful. So that's what I mean by aligning your message. I don't take a full vacation really in the summer. It's rare, but I take days off because I'm my boss and I have a wonderful boss. And I'm at the point in my life where my boss really honors how hard I work when I'm at work and allows me time to play when I'm not at work. So last week, I actually met a friend of over 50 years who lives about an hour and a half away in Toledo, Ohio. And so I don't get down there very often. So I asked her what we should do. And we went to this glass part of the Toledo Art Museum. It was really, really cool. And the day we were there, they were giving demonstrations. There was a master glass blower there who was doing additional studying and working. And we sat for an hour watching him create from this little teeny piece of glass this amazing, beautiful, gorgeous vase. It was, it in and of itself was fascinating. And there was someone giving us information and kind of narrating it as we went along. There were about 30 people sitting in the room watching, and it was really, really interesting. But what struck me the most was it was the main person creating this design. And then there were 4, I guess, I don't know if they're volunteers or they work at in the glass factory, but they were helping. By helping, it was actually like watching a choreographed dance of this goes into the fire, this comes out, I hand you this, you hand me that, back and forth. They said afterwards there was quiet talking. We didn't even hear the talking, but from our end, it purely looked like a dance creating this message, or in this case, this vase. And so when we talk about aligning your message, it's almost like a choreographed dance. It's almost watching all these various pieces come into play, align with each other, and help you connect with someone else that's going to create a long-lasting relationship. Kind of like the one I have with my friend of over 50 years who we've never lived in the same city. I was in a youth group when I was a kid. The first time I went out of town for a convention, I stayed at her house. And we laughed about that. She had a totally 70s bedroom. I can still see it in my head. But because really of social media, we've been able to keep our friendship and our connection, and our messages to each other, our conversations were here and now. They weren't based in the past, except for a couple anecdotes and things we shared and laughed about. But otherwise, it was present and it was current. And I think when you're aligning your message and you're thinking about what you're talking to other people about, staying current and staying in that message is so important. Just like the choreographed dance, if someone had moved the wrong way, that vase could have come crashing to the floor. Luckily, if you know, glass is made out of sand, they remelt it and they start over. Don't we always wish we could start conversations over when we get home and we're like, I did not say what I wanted to say. Folks, if you're prepared, if you're ready to go, if you've aligned your message with the situation, then it's going to go smoothly. And the best thing is, it gives you an opportunity to follow up either by text or by email and say, you know, we were talking about this and this, and I wanted to share with you some other information. You don't need to say, I didn't do the right thing. You don't need to say, I should have said. You could always say, I want to share some additional information. It makes you look pretty good. It makes you create the relationship and create the future conversations. So that's my message for today. I hope you like it. I hope you listen. I hope you follow. If you want information on helping your work team do a better job preparing their methods and preparing their messages, we can use the Spark method. Just let me know. I'm happy to have a quick call and learn more about you and your company as well. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next week. I wanted to share with you a new offering from my company, Pamela Lippitt Communications. I'm actually offering a communications audit. So who is this for? It's for a company, a nonprofit, where there's new leadership, new board members, or new senior hires who may not be up to speed and are seeing different things when they're looking at different pieces of paper, because really it's the new people who are really diving in and looking at things. It could be because you have new programs or new clients or new services and you want to give them a consistent message about your company. It may be that people are asking the same questions all the time. That means you should be answering it in your materials so they don't have to ask. And it's also if you're seeing internal frustrations among your team. Maybe they don't have the right materials they need. So if you're interested in a communications audit for your company, I am giving a bonus for anyone who mentions hearing this on the podcast. Not only will I do a communication audit of your materials, but I'll also come in person or via Zoom and meet with your team to go over all the materials as we start and as we finish to make sure everyone's on the same page. So with that, shoot me a text or an email if you're interested, and I am happy to reach out and discuss how your communications can be smoother, more concise, and lead to more business. Thank you.